Conference play in the Summit League nears its conclusion as the Omaha Mavericks prepare to take on the South Dakota State Jackrabbits right here on the Maverick Digital Network. Welcome into the Maverick Digital Network studios. I'm Austin Ulmer. Omaha looks to make it 2 in a row after that narrow victory against South Dakota on Thursday night. These two teams met back on the 19th of January when the Jackrabbits won the game 84-61. Omaha held the lead for the first 6.5 minutes of the game, but it was all Jacks from that point on. Omaha hopes to even the season series this evening. Let's take a look at the team's records in the Summit so far this season. Omaha comes into this one 4-12 in conference play with an overall record of 8-20. For the Jacks, they have a 16-11 overall record and are 11-4 in conference action. And with the regular season coming to a close, the Summit League tournament is right around the corner. Mitchell Kutcher has an interview he did about what to expect in tournament play.
Down the stretch, the Mavericks have struggled this season, but they've shown the ability to compete with anyone in the Summit League, playing number one in the conference, Oral Roberts, within single digits both games this season. Todd Buckingham, creator of the Reaching the Summit podcast, says a team like Omaha could get hot in the conference tournament and go on a run up in Sioux Falls.
I think that Friday will be really interesting with the Summit League tournament as you get those first 4 teams in, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when those teams, the teams that win, does that give them a little bit of momentum playing the day before? I think they might eventually run out of gas, but does it give them a little bit of a bump in that second round? If any of those final 4, could they make the finals? Yeah, that could happen. I like the opportunity to win in those quarterfinals, and then you're really going in confidently. And that can change things at all. What I think we've really found in the Summit League this year, though, is it really just depends on matchups.
Looking forward to the Summit League tournament. I am lucky now to be joined once again by John Karhoff. John is a former Omaha center and is back as our guest analyst for the evening. Thanks for being here, John. Looking forward to breaking down another game with you.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. Excited to be back. Can't believe this is the last home game of the year already.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah. It's senior night. It's going to be a fun one. John, let's get right to it. What are your keys to tonight's game for Omaha to get the victory?
Well, I think first and foremost, Mavs have to get off to a hot start. Hopefully they can build off some confidence that they built up Thursday night over South Dakota. If they can hit some shots early, get some confidence under them, that's how upsets happen. Number 2, you have to stop Zeke Mayo from South Dakota State. He's the real deal. Only a sophomore, but he's emerged as a star this season. So if you're the Mavericks, you have to force somebody else to beat you. He dropped 31 against them up in Brookings earlier this season. That can't happen again tonight. And then lastly, if you're the Mavs, I think you have to get 70-plus points tonight. The Jackrabbits, they've done a great job this year holding opponents under that mark. When they do so, they're 12-2. So if the Mavs can push the pace, get the tempo in their favor, again, that's how upsets happen, and they might find themselves in a game with 5 minutes left tonight.
Now that John's given you his keys to the game, here's the players we'll be watching for both teams. First, for the Jacks, it's sophomore guard Zeke Mayo. He's averaging 18.5 points per game this season. Mayo had 31 points against the Mavericks last time, as John said, and the two teams played and hopes to have the same kind of performance tonight, this time, though, on the road. John, what about Frankie Fiddler?
Well, Frankie, he's a guy, he's been asked to do a ton this season. He leads the Mavs in scoring, also leads them in rebounding. He recorded his 4th double-double just Thursday night against South Dakota. He's been great at getting to the foul line, too, where he's been just so effective there, shooting almost 90% from the free throw line. So look for another big night tonight from Frankie Fiddler.
And John, as we talked about, it's senior night out there. What does that kind of do for a team's momentum? They're at home playing a tough South Dakota State team that they've struggled with in the past. How do you expect this team to come out with knowing the ceremony that goes on before the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's extra emotion in senior night, absolutely. Mavs are honoring 3 seniors tonight. Again, building off of some of that momentum that hopefully they're building from Thursday night's victory, you've got to hit some shots early. Seeing that hoop get a little bigger, that gives the team confidence. So hopefully they can take some of that extra emotion that senior night brings and get out to a quick start tonight.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit before the show. Jay-Sean Glover, he's been playing great lately. This is a young team, and you had mentioned about how they're only going to get better. What have you liked that you've seen from the young players that they can grow on, in years to come?
Yeah, well, obviously the Mavs, they snapped a pretty long losing skid Thursday night, but they were in a lot of close games in that losing skid, and that's something those are growth opportunities for a young team. And hearing Coach Crutchfield just his post-game remarks, interviews with different outlets, he likes how his guys react in practice. Coming back after tough losses, that's something you don't get a lot from young teams when they're facing adversity. So that's just a really good sign for this team for years to come, hopefully building some momentum here tonight.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit as well about, every team makes the Summit League tournament now, and you were saying you were not as fortunate when you were on the team before. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, during our time, it was the Division I transition period, and back then they didn't allow those teams that were transitioning to play in the Summit League tournament. So head scratcher there for me personally.
Sure.
Sounds like they've corrected some of those wrongs, but no doubt about it. You get into March, you start having that conference tournament time. Even if you find yourself as a low seed, you feel that excitement. It's March Madness, that conference tournament time, so who knows what happens.
And talking a little bit, looking ahead just a tad to the Summit League tournament, do you think this Omaha team has what it takes to kind of make a little surprise run in that tournament down at Sioux Falls?
Yeah, well, especially, it sounds like they're going to be kind of that first 4 in, kind of those lower seeds playing against each other the first day of the Summit League tournament. If you can get a victory then, right, who knows what happens the next day. Sometimes that benefits a team that played the day before, just jumping right in the next day, not having to think too much about it, just roll the ball out, let's see what happens, as opposed to facing a 1 or a 2 seed that sat around for a full week waiting for that game to come. Maybe you can jump on a favorite early like that. So again, who knows what can happen in March, right? It's a crazy time of year.
It is a crazy time of year, and it's about to get started. So it's just about time for tip-off. We'll have halftime highlights and analysis here from the Maverick Digital Network studio. But until then, let's take you to Baxter Arena, where Jack McGonigal and Jacob Timian have the call.
From Lawrence, Kansas, that's Zeke Mayo. He wears number 2. Matthew Moores, a 6'7" redshirt freshman forward from Yankton, South Dakota. And then Matt Dentlinger, a 6'8" forward from Arcadia, Iowa. And Dentlinger in his 10th career game versus Omaha. And then William Kyle III. He's a Bellevue West kid, and I'm assuming he's got some friends and family in the house tonight to watch him. He's a 6'9" forward and a high school teammate of Frankie Fiddler. And now for Omaha, it's J.J. White, the 6'2" sophomore guard from Norman, Oklahoma. Jay-Sean Glover, who's really stepped up. He's a 6'4" freshman guard from Medelia, Minnesota, who wears number 5. Markel Sutton, 6'7" sophomore forward, number 10 from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And Dylan Brom, the big man, the 6'9" junior center from Riverside, Missouri. And the 6'7" sophomore forward, Frankie Fiddler, who has played so well here in 2022-23 season. He's also that Bellevue West guy. And it's Chris Crutchfield. In his first year at the helm, he was a 2-sport athlete at Omaha. And I only bring that up because it's alumni night here at Baxter Arena, filled with alums hanging out and enjoying themselves here on this Saturday night. And for South Dakota State, Eric Henderson, he's from a Wayne State grad back in the year 2000. He's 84-33 at the helm of South Dakota State. Previously, before getting the head coach position, he was an assistant coach, and he has been just fantastic. The 2-time Summit League Coach of the Year. And Eric Henderson and Jacob for Omaha tonight. really the key is to take care of the basketball and, not make those silly decisions.
Yeah, I think that just the biggest thing is that you just can't beat yourself. Be smart with the basketball. Just trust in yourself and trust in your teammates that they're going to make plays for you. But really, it's just focusing on doing your job individually from the half court, both on the offense and defensive sides of the ball. So, and again, I think that just for Omaha on Thursday night, getting that win, snapping that 9-game skid, hopefully it'll give them a lot of momentum to finish the regular season strong here tonight and then next Saturday against Denver.
So what looks ahead for Omaha is they will play obviously tonight, and then Saturday, a week from today, will be the regular season for real finale. That's against Denver, which could mean if you're really a 9 seed or a 10 seed, so the opponent could change. As the bottom 4 now are pretty close to being a done deal with South Dakota, North Dakota, Denver, and Omaha. And like we mentioned, South Dakota State, they are the 2 seed, and they will, Oral Roberts will be the 1. And then it's a big kind of mess in between 3, 4, 5, and 6 positions. So expect an exciting. We'll give you score updates throughout the night. It's a busy night of Omaha sports. The Diamond Sports are playing, Jacob. We were, tuned in with hockey. This is like, it's this couple weeks now where it's just like you got the winter sports and the spring sports mashed together. So it keeps it fun as an Omaha fan.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like perfect worlds collide, so to speak.
Yeah.
But, it's just a great time, I think, for athletics, that we're coming down the home stretch of the basketball and hockey seasons. Right now, hockey is in the top 15 in the country. They'll be back here next weekend against St. Cloud State. And then also we'll have baseball coming home against K-State Wildcats the 28th of February. So a lot of great things happening as well. And then also the softball team as well. They'll be starting their home stretch at Connie Clausen Field not too long from now.
So big kudos before we get going to the hockey team. 3-2 win in overtime. They were down 2-0 in the third period and came back. So big kudos to head coach Mike Gabinet and the hockey team for getting that sweep in Oxford. And they'll, like Jacob said, they'll be back home next weekend. But first, we got a big one on our hands here at Baxter, South Dakota State and Omaha. It is Matt Dentlinger, the 6'8 senior forward, in the circle with Dylan Brom, number 14, as we are officially underway. Tip is won by the Jackrabbits. There's Zeke Mayo coming off a 27-point game, had 21 against the Mavs last year in Brookings. Dentlinger now back to Matt Mims, down low. Looking for the Bellevue native, William Kyle in the paint. Nice backdoor cut and in for number 11, Matthew Morris. Cut right to the rim on the right in the paint, 2-0 South Dakota State. J.J. White now brings the basketball up the floor for the first time. Crosses half court. There's Brom, left wing. Hands it off to Jay Sean Glover, top of the key. Now wide open was Brom on the right block, but gets it stripped away out of bounds. Inbounds play coming for Omaha.
Yeah, that was a good strip there by Zeke Mayo, knowing that Brom had a good look right in front of the rim.
J.J. White over the top, finds Markel Sutton. Now Jay Sean Glover, now on the wing, left wing. That's J.J. White. And now Glover wanted to shoot. Instead, he dumps it off to White. Left side three ball, no good. Dentlinger jumps for the rebound, finds Mayo in transition. This is where he's dangerous, dumps it off, and shot no good on the three from Mims. And Sutton picks up the rebound, finds White. Now down the floor to Fiddler. Fiddler, stop, pop, left side, off the mark, no good. And Braun there for the board. Now got 2 jacks on it, but no problem. Puts it up 2-2 game. So there's Zeke Mayo, the point guard, being defended by Jay Sean Glover, who's really stepped up on the defensive side of things. Dentlinger, top of the key, right side, hands it off to Zeke Mayo. Now back to Dentlinger, about 10 feet away from the rim on the right side, backing his way up to the floor, or the basket on Brom. Steps back, nice little fadeaway goes for Dentlinger, 4-2. So now J.J. White with it. He's guarded by the other number 1, Matt Mims. Finds Dylan Brom, left wing. Brom hands it off to Frankie Fiddler. Fiddler now back to Sutton. Sutton drives left baseline at the rim. Gets knocked away by Dentlinger into the hands of Zeke Mayo and South Dakota State. 4-2, 18-13 to go first half. And with the basketball, William Kyle, the 6'9 freshman. And hook shot, no good. Rebound. J.J. White comes up with it. Trying to push it to Fiddler. Now down the floor to Jay Sean Glover. Left baseline. Foul called on Matthew Moores. And Matthew Moores picks up his first, the team's first. Inbounds here for Omaha, but a little bit of a quick tempo so far, Jacob.
Yeah, I think that you like that, really just trying to catch the defense off guard, especially when you're working in transition.
So 4-2, South Dakota. Here's Zeke Mayo in transition, goes right to the rim and scores, averaging 18.5 a game, has his first basket. And here at Baxter Arena, we still have the South Dakota Coyotes logo up on the scoreboard.
Gotta love a malfunction every once in a while.
So Jay-Sean Glover now to J.J. White at the top of the key. And White. And now down low, Dylan Brom. Knocked away again, Zeke Mayo. And Mayo in transition at the top of the key now on the wing. Gets it off to Kyle. Being defended by Markel Sutton. He has a size advantage. There he is. Sutton takes a charge. Nice job. Feet were set, Jacob.
Yeah, and there William Kyle just trying to get to his spot there down on the post. But a nice job there by Sutton to take that foul. Now Omaha will be getting it back the other way.
So 6-2 now. And J.J. White brings the basketball up the floor here. And White being defended by Mims. Gets to Fiddler right side. Fiddler, he's also coming off a 27-point performance. He had 33 against St. Thomas, and Fiddler misses the right mid-range jumper there. South Dakota State picks up the rebound. There's Zeke Mayo looking down low as he finds Dentlinger being defended by Brom in the paint, and there's the power of Dentlinger with another, that time was a hook shot, and another basket for him. 8-2, South Dakota State. With about 16:30 to go, and the Jackrabbits off to a good start, just kind of manhandling and doing what they want so far at Omaha. Here's J.J. White, kicks it back out. Glover, yeah, he did step out, Jacob. And a turnover, and you can't have many of those against this South Dakota State team that can score at will. Averaging just over 70 a game, but got some guys that can really hurt you. Here's Mayo walking the ball up the floor with a 6-point advantage, about 3 minutes and 45 seconds in. Mayo on the left side, swinging it around. That's Charlie Easley's into the game, number 30, the Pius alum. Fadeaway, Mayo, yes, sir.
That's a tough shot there by Zeke Mayo, but just a good job just creating a little bit of separation down low, and good bucket there.
10-2, South Dakota State has the advantage. And next stoppage will be our under 16 media timeout. Here's Frankie Fiddler. Now kicking it back out. Sutton on the wing, backing himself out near 3-point range. Decides to take the mid-range jumper, no good. And Kyle goes and grabs that rebound. Gets it to Mims, pushes it up the floor to Mayo. And now Mayo finding Dentlinger, but took a little bit of a turn to get there, but does land in the hands of Dentlinger. Now going back on Brom on the block. Has to kick it back out to Charlie Easley, the Nebraska transfer. Easley now, right side. Kicks it back out. It's William Kyle, the Bellevue West freshman. Wild shot, but right into the hands of Dentlinger. Right place, right time. It's in. 12-2. Jackrabbits, 15 minutes to play first half. And South Dakota State already a double-digit lead 5 minutes in. Markel Sutton now has it. Top of the key, kicks it back out. Open three, left side, Frankie, yes, sir. And the first triple of the game goes to the team's leading scorer in Frankie Fiddler.
And for Frankie Fiddler, all he has to do is just find his spot. He's got such a great stroke, able to hit that deep three-pointer.
Zeke Mayo now calling the shots, directing this offense. Mayo now a couple different passes, couple different swinging around the top of the key. Easily decides to take the top of the key three. He hits it and flashes the three fingers above his head after the triple. 15-5. SDSU answers with a three of its own. 10-point South Dakota State lead. And now working behind the three-point line is Omaha. 14-11 to go. Here's Frankie. Baseline right side, kicks it back out. Glover wide open. Yes, sir. Left side. Back-to-back triples for Omaha. Fiddler and now Jay-Sean Glover. 15-8.
That was all set up there by that cross-court pass by Frankie Fiddler. Good vision there underneath the basket to find Glover for that wide open three.
So 13:50 to go, and you can tell these guys are starting to become gassed. 3-ball missed from Mims, and Glover gets the rebound. Still waiting that under 16 media timeout. Mid-range jumper, Markell, why not? Omaha's within 10, a little 5-0 run here in the last minute.
Markell Sutton there with a beautiful crossover on the baseline. That was what gave him that separation there, that wide open jump shot.
Here's Dentlinger, back out Zeke Mayo, top of the key, hand in the face from Glover. Zeke Mayo uses that and one, he gets it, used that screen, went right to the rim, drew contact and made it. And we'll discuss that after this timeout. Jack McGonigal, Jacob Timian, 17-10 Jackson front. This is Omaha Maverick men's basketball on mavradio.fm and the Maverick Digital Network.
There's a unique educational experience right here in Omaha. With access to top-rated programs, in-demand degrees, and a worldwide community of graduates, UNO prepares students for life, wherever it may lead. From Omaha to Italy to Uganda to Japan, Mavericks are working in communities around the globe. So where will a degree from UNO take you? UNO, access to exceptional, access to the world. Learn more at unomaha.edu.
3,000 student-athletes from 10 institutions, competing in 19 sports for national prominence, striving for excellence in academics and athletics, seeking to become champions. Nearly 100,000 students and more than 800,000 alumni celebrate Summit League student-athletes and their rise to reach the summit. The Summit League, where tomorrow's leaders strive to reach the summit today.
And the Jacks right now shooting the ball well. 66.7% from the field, and they've hit a triple as well. Omaha shooting 40% and 50% from three. But right now, you can tell number 2 for South Dakota State, Zeke Mayo, is just directing this offense, and that was a really smooth drive to the basket and drew contact.
Well, and not only was it a smooth drive to the basket, but it was really a physical finish as well. And really on that defensive play there, really nothing much else that Dylan Brom could do. That was just a great offensive play there by Zeke Mayo. And the old saying goes is that great offense will always beat good defense every single time. So a chance for Zeke Mayo to get the and one here out of the media timeout.
So Dylan Brom picked up the foul in case he missed it. And Brom only played 15 minutes on Thursday because of foul trouble. He had got 2 quick fouls within the first 10 minutes and then sat the remainder of the first half and then picked up 2 more in the first 8-9 minutes of the second half and then didn't get until there were 3 minutes left in the game. So not very much playing time for Dylan Brom on Thursday. And you want to see Brom be able to stay in the game as long as possible due to the size of South Dakota State in Dentlinger at 6'8" and William Kyle the third 6'9". But if you don't have a big guy that can stay in the game and stick with these guys, the 6'9", 6'8" duo can really hurt you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's just the big thing for Dylan Brom, just being disciplined as much as you can, because Omaha is going to need that size and length as we head down the stretch in this game.
So Mayo trots back as he hits that. He already has 7 in the first 7 minutes. 18-9, South Dakota State doubles the Omaha point total. Kennedy Brown's into the game. He's been playing well as of late. He gets it off to Frankie Fiddler. Now to Markell. Top of the key, hands it off to Jay-Sean Glover. Back to Markell Sutton. Being defended by Matthew Moores here. And Markell Sutton dives for the ball, lost control. It's going to be a held ball. It will be, and the possession arrow points in Omaha's favor, so it'll stay right here. Here comes Luke Jungers, another Creighton Prep guy. Kyle Lutke and Kola Roper, other Creighton Prep guys. And Luke Jungers and William Kyle III had quite the state tournament a duel in the semis in 2021, a triple overtime game that Bellevue West went on to win. At the buzzer, J.J. White misses the jumper, but the hustle from Jay Sean earns another chance for Omaha, but Jungers gives it away into the hands of Matt Mims. Back to Mayo, down the floor, William Kyle being defended by Kennedy Brown, now double team. Jungers joins in on the defense. And a foul called. No, it is an offensive foul. Wasn't sure what they called there. Travel?
It looked like they called a turnover.
Okay, so it is, we'll say travel. It looked like maybe he slid his feet there. 18-9, 12:25 to play. Omaha gets it back, J.J. White. And now it is number 5, Jay-Sean Glover. Spin move right to the rim, blocked. And into the hands of William Kyle III, who jumps up and makes the play, grabs the board. Stop, pop, yes sir. Right side, or left side, excuse me. And Zeke Mayo already in double figures here in this game. 21-9. And now here's Omaha's Kennedy Brown to Jay-Sean Glover, left side. And Glover looking, finds Jungers. Jungers takes the 3 and misses. And Charlie Easley comes and gets the rebound. Here's Easley trotting past half court. Charlie off to Mayo, swinging it around. 3 on the way. Short from Mims. And the rebound was it was Moores going after it. And a foul called, I believe, on Jungers. And, well, we'll see after the break. It's 11:37 to go first half. 21-9, South Dakota State on top of Omaha. Jack McGonigal, Jacob Timian. This is Omaha Maverick men's basketball on mavradio.fm and the Maverick Digital Network.
Coming up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Faded grass to a full.
Welcome to the Omaha News. We are Omaha.
The complex was condemned by the city in January for numerous safety reasons.
We are truth tellers and award winners.
They process and recycle approximately 100,000 tons of material.
We are a community of strength and a team of big dreams. We are the Omaha News, where the people are the story.
And they called it on Matthew Moores, which is big because that's his second personal. So you may see Moores out of the game for a little while. And that puts South Dakota State at 3 team fouls with 11:37 to go, 21-9. But right now, like we mentioned in pregame, Jacob, Zeke Mayo is just making his presence known so far in this game. 10 points here in the first 8.5 minutes.
Well, and I think the other thing is, too, he's been the anchor of this offense so far, and also, too, just being able to get to his spot and get good looks at the basket as well. Part of the big reason that South Dakota State is up to this 21-9 lead.
So Frankie now has it, being defended by Mayo, has his back to the basket, looking, running out of options, finds a wide-open Tony Osborne, who can't hit the 3, and the rebound, Zeke Mayo. Here comes Mayo, one-handed pass, a little wild, but it does land in the hands of number 15 in Tanner Tuslaw. And now Mayo has another 3 opportunity. He misses, and Tony Osborne, who had himself double figures in Thursday, gets the rebound. Back to Frankie. Now back to Osborne, swinging at Jungers. 0 for 1 on the day from 3. Down low, Kennedy Brown being defended by Kyle III. And now Kennedy Brown back out Jungers, pump fake, swings it to Fiddler, left side baseline on the block, running into trouble. Frankie takes a tough contested shot, but not a problem. He hits the fadeaway.
What a tough shot there by Frankie Fiddler on the baseline. But each time they're in that possession, though, South Dakota State coming with a quick double team, and just a good job there by Frankie Fiddler to create a little bit of space there, as you said, Jack, on that little away jumper.
So Frankie up to 4 points in this game. And now down low, Kyle got another hook shot. Really difficult in the post to defend, and he's made himself known also, just a freshman, again from Bellevue West.
Pretty much there by William Kyle there, and also Detlinger. It's kind of just, too, like getting to your spot really down there on the post. Pretty much when you get to your spot, then it's just a turn and shoot.
Jungers has a contested three, but misses on the front end. And now all the way down the floor, cross court, an easy layup for Matt Detlinger, the 6'8 sophomore, the Iowa native, puts South Dakota State up 14. It's 25-11, 9.5 to play first half. Tony Osborne over to number 2 and Jaden Marshall. Now back out Osborne left side at the three-point line, being defended by Mayo. Goes out to Marshall. Three on the way. Good. And Jaden has his first three of the night. 25-14. Mayo walking the basketball up the floor. Crosses half court, being picked up by Jaden. And now Mayo right near the out-of-bounds line, but gets past Marshall, kicks it back out. Mims, three on the way, got it. Just a couple feet to the right of the top of the key. And South Dakota State shooting the ball well from three-point range. 3 for 7 already here today. 28-14 again. SDSU doubles the Omaha point total. A 14-point lead. Osborne takes a long three, top of the key. No good. Detlinger on the rebound and gives it off to Zeke Mayo. And Mayo and South Dakota State, historically, it's a quicker tempo, but they're slowing things down against this Omaha defense. And William Kyle down low and gets right past Jungers. Nice pass to Detlinger, lays it in off the glass. Beautiful pass from the freshman.
I think that, as you had mentioned, Jack, usually this is a high up-tempo offense, but really they're just using their physicality down low in the post to create those good looks right at the basket.
30-14 now. Here's Kennedy Brown. Brown, hook shot, no good. Kyle grabs another rebound, gives it off to Zeke Mayo. Here's Mayo, gets it off to Mims, who just hit that three. Back out to Mayo. And Mayo now wants to take a three of his own. Misses, and Jungers gets the rebound. And now here's Tony Osborne. And Osborne, top of the key, driving. Gives it over, extra pass to Kennedy Brown, who dunks it in. Kennedy Brown has his first bucket in a fashionable way, 30-16.
And that was all set up there by that pass by Osborne down low.
And that's unselfish play. He probably could have scored on his own, but he decides to take the assist and let Brown have the points. Here's William Kyle III now being defended by Jungers. Loses control, bobbled it, but regains control. And those hook shots, that time it doesn't go, but was darn close, and a attempted save, but nobody home, so South Dakota State just takes it away. And a foul called down low, and that is our under 8 media timeout, so 7:02 to go, and South Dakota State has a 30-16 lead on Omaha. It's Jack McGonigal with Jacob Timian. This is Omaha Maverick men's basketball on mavradio.fm and the Maverick Digital Network.
The University of Nebraska at Omaha's bookstore is home to more than books. The UNO bookstore accommodates all students' needs with phone and laptop repairs at the iFix UNO station or free residence hall delivery. The bookstore, located in the Milevale Student Center, is full of Maverick merchandise. Find sweatshirts for chilly Nebraska days or cozy UNO mugs for every coffee fix. Shop anytime at unobookstore.com.
30-16 here. Kansas City out to a 17-12 lead on North Dakota. And North Dakota's been turning it on as of late. Oral Roberts is winning. That's no surprise. 32-22 over North Dakota State. Asmus, most likely going to be Summit League Player of the Year again. He has 11. And then Western Illinois 20-18 with St. Thomas and St. Paul. And that one should be an interesting one, as the Tommies 8-7 in Summit League play, as well as Western Illinois. So, and the Omaha women's team fell in today's game as they lost to South Dakota State. And South Dakota State is, just like Oral Roberts, unbeaten in Summit League play. And back onto the floor is Matthew Moores. And Matthew Moores, surprisingly enough, he played 6 years of high school basketball, Jacob.
Yeah, and I think that it's just really just trying to stay disciplined as well, just to make sure that you don't draw that third foul.
And now out of the timeout, there's Matthew Moores, misses the triple, and Dylan Brom has the rebound. He goes to J.J. White. And J.J. back to Jaden Marshall. Back to J.J. White. White now left side, scanning the floor. Back to Marshall, who has a 3 under his belt in this game. Finds White left side. Really good defense here from the Jacks. 12 to shoot, 6.5 to play in the half. Here's White driving left side. Misses, going for the rebound. And number 11 in Matt Moores picks it up. And he gets it to Mims, number 1. Swinging it around, Zeke Mayo. Here's Charlie Easley, 6th man off the bench. There's Moores back to Easley, wide open left side. Has himself another 3 and showing some excitement after it. 33-16 Jackrabbits, but you got to get back on defense. Fiddler flying down the floor. He loses control into the hands of Mims. And SDSU's defense just collapsed on the space for Fiddler. Mims now to Easley up to the baseline and back out to Zeke Mayo. One-handed pass. And look at that passing from South Dakota State, and Easley misses this time. Nice box out of Brom to get the rebound. He gets it to J.J. White. Now here's White driving, back out. Jaden Marshall wants another 3. Misses. One of the fouls. He fell to the ground as he shot it, and South Dakota State scoops up the rebound. Here's Charlie Easley left side, back to Zeke. Zeke was nearly going to take a long 3. Instead, he drives and he finds Alex Arians. Or excuse me, that's actually Broden Lean, number 33, and he lost control.
Kyle Lutke also checking in for Omaha. He was honored before the game for senior night.
There he is, Kyle Lutke, the 5th-year guy, and the Creighton Prep graduate, as well as Luke Jungers and Akola Rope. And Acole's been hurt, and he's in street clothes right now, so obviously won't be seeing him, unfortunately, tonight. Frankie Fiddler to Dylan Brom, top of the key to J.J. White. One-on-one with Mims, now floating up to Brom for the alley-oop. And Dylan with a slam.
Put a little bit of mustard on that big fella.
And he got all of that. 33-18. And Zeke Mayo now back to number 33, and that was Broden Lean. And yeah, Jacob, the only mustard in this arena ain't just at the concession stand tonight.
Well, and again, that was all set up by the pass by Matthew Moores. Just a good inside pass down there in the paint to set up that good open look.
That's a really nice hesitation from Sutton, although he can't connect, but Brom does on a 3rd attempt, and he drew the foul as well. So Dylan Brom has the last 4 Omaha points, can make it 5 here. And that's the 4th team foul against SDSU. So Dylan Brom heading to the free throw line. And for Dylan, he's playing well tonight. Brom shooting just 52% from the free throw line. He does connect on that. And that was the first free throw for Omaha in this game, 35-21. 14-point Jackrabbit lead, and they just got out to a quick start. It was 12-2, and with that being said, a lay-in for Matthew Moores off a nice pass. It's 37-21 Jackrabbits. Here's JJ, nice backdoor cut. Fiddler with a slam. It's a slam dunk, but Frankie lands awkwardly on his ankle, and now is on his back.
Boy, he looked like he tweaked that right ankle, and he went right down on his back right away. Hate to see that.
He's definitely favoring that right ankle, so Fiddler trots off the floor. Jay-Sean comes in, and the heart is dropped to the stomachs of Omaha fans here. Out your key guy, and Frankie's going back to the locker room.
Well, the good news was he was able to jog off the floor, and he's jogging back to the locker room, so hopefully we will see him for too long.
The way it appears, this will be very minor, very temporary.
Yeah.
I'm sure the smart thing would probably just sit him for the half, 4 minutes to go.
I would agree.
And then bring him out for the beginning of the second half. That's my prediction, but, well, I wouldn't mind seeing him sooner than that. So now 37-23 after the Fiddler dunk, nearly a travel from Mayo, but he does find his teammates there in the front court. And now driving all the way, shimmying all the way to the rim, Charlie Easley in draw contact. He's heading to the free throw line. 3:52 to go, so we'll step aside for our under 4 media timeout. Jack McGonigal, Jacob Timian. This is Omaha Maverick men's basketball on mavradio.fm and the Maverick Digital Network.
The media landscape is vastly different from the past. Conglomeration and consolidation have changed the skill sets required to succeed. Journalists must not only know how to conduct research, interview, and write stories, but they also have to know how to shoot and edit the stories they tell. Likewise, creative media professionals must know how to interview, research, and write the stories they shoot and edit. In the School of Communication, we require students to gain experience and proficiencies employers are seeking. The two hardest mediated genres to produce are live sports and newscasts. Thus, once our students are taught the basics, they are given opportunities to improve the abilities at these genres. Capstones 1 and 2 feature the culmination of skill sets. Once students produce the Omaha News, they can use it in their demo reel to show their skills. From here, students can go anywhere.
Frankie Fiddler is back here. And Jacob, just a scary fall there, but glad to see he's okay.
Yeah, you just hate to see that. And good thing that, as I said, it seemed like it was a minor injury, but he was able to jog off the court and back into the locker room. But automatically, when he landed after that two-handed dunk, he automatically went right on his back because he tweaked that ankle. But glad to see that he's okay.
So Frankie is on the bench. He's not into the game quite yet. But Charlie Easley has this free throw, and he rattles it home. And Charlie's pretty solid, 13 of 16 from the line now. It's 40-23, South Dakota State up by 17 on Omaha. Now here's Glover to White, Brom again! 3 dunks in the half, and 2 of them from Dylan Brom. Brom's having quite the first half after just playing 15 minutes on Thursday. 40-25, South Dakota State up 15, easily swinging it. And now finding Zeke Mayo. Mayo at the free throw line, steps back, gets it out to Kyle. Kyle now down low, battling with Sutton. Hook shot, no good. Goes right back to Kyle for the rebound, gets it stripped, but right into the hands of Dentlinger and misses the contested hook shot on the second chance. J.J. White around a world of rabbits. And now back out to Kyle Ludke to Sutton. Sutton, 3-ball, left side, yes sir, Markell. Omaha within 12, 40-28.
Great passing there along the perimeter there by Omaha to set up that good look there in the corner by Markell Sutton for the 3. And now it's a 12-point game with about 2.5 minutes to go.
2:45 to go first half. Jackrabbits up 12. And now Dentlinger spins around Brom and gets to the rim. A really nice post move from the 6'8 forward. 42-28. And J.J. White to Markell. Markel goes trying to go through all the Jackrabbits, but has to dump it back out to Jay-Sean Glover. Now J.J. White splits the defenders, little Euro step, and he gets fouled as he drives to the rim. So it should be on the floor. No, they're going to say shooting, it looks like. Yep, it is just shooting foul. I guess he was going up with it. So the foul is on Tanner Teslaw, his first, the team's fifth. JJ hits the first free throw. For JJ White on the year, 85.5% from the line. 42-29. JJ White with just his first point. Fiddler comes back in actually as well, and he makes the second one. So 2 for 2. Frankie's back into the game for the final 2:13. 42-30. South Dakota State hustle defense from Brom. Knocks it away from Easley. And they're deciding who it was out of bounds on. And they say last touched by Dylan Brom. So Zeke Mayo will inbound right in front of the Omaha bench. And now you have Jay-Sean defending. And he gets it out to Dentlinger, being defended by White. And now it's to Mayo. Mayo has space on the left side, doesn't take the three-pointer as it collapsed on Jay-Sean's defense. Now swinging around long three, Mims short, and JJ gets the rebound. Here comes JJ White, cross half court, quick tempo. Now White scanning, finding Fiddler, left corner. Frankie being defended by Dentlinger. Size disadvantage for Frankie. Now goes to his right where JJ is standing. Screen made, Brom back to Frankie. Frankie takes the three and he hits it. Fiddler, and Omaha has cut this down to single digits, down 9, 90 seconds to play, and that sparks this Baxter Arena crowd.
Frankie Fiddler telling the crowd to get up on its feet, and definitely that three-pointer pumping up the crowd. Now just a 9-point deficit for Omaha with just over a minute to play.
Brom 9, Fiddler 9, and Mayo drives right side and draws the foul, misses the layup, but he will get 2 fouls. And like we said, Zeke Mayo shooting over 90% from the line, 91.4 to be exact. That ranks 5th in America. Jay-Sean Glover's first, the team's 4th, by the way. Some noise here from the Omaha student section. But Mayo has shot 94 free throws now, and he has just missed 8. He's 86 for 94. Could make this free throw make number 87 on the season. And it will be. So 44-33. The Jackrabbits up 11 after winning 6 of the last 6 against Omaha in the past years. Now here's Brom to Fiddler left side. Fiddler wanted to go over the top to Dylan Brom. Both him and Fiddler have 9 apiece. Fiddler has had a dunk contest here in the first half, and you got 1 minute to go here in the first half. Fiddler wants another 3. He misses off the front iron, and rebound William Kyle III has to slow things down. He was racing down the floor and pauses, and he handed it off to Matt Mims, who goes to Zeke Mayo. Mayo after those 2 free throws. Screen made Dentlinger. Here's Mayo. Couple different crossovers. Stop, pop, wing shot. 15-foot side on the right. No good, but Kyle gets the rebound. No call as Sutton fell to the floor, and William Kyle slams it home, 46-33 with 20 seconds to go in the first half. And a timeout has been taken by Jay-Sean Glover to set up a final shot for Omaha as the shot clock is off. And Frankie, do you expect that the last shot will be taken by Fiddler, or will they try and go inside? We'll see what happens.
I think that they've really, a lot of their success has come out on the perimeter, especially beyond the three-point line, and I would suspect that they'll give this ball to Frankie Fiddler here at the end, because he has been the hot hand so far for Omaha in this game. He has 9 points so far in this first half, and he's already hitting a three-pointer to his credit. But I would just say that probably just look for Omaha maybe to try and put the ball inside to maybe try and collapse the defense and then kick it out for a quick three-pointer at the buzzer. But we'll see what Omaha does here in the half court.
So 46-33. Good student section on hand. Here, good crowd on hand in general. Even the opposing Jackrabbit fans have made the trip down I-29. And now Eric Henderson will take a timeout with 15.8 to play in the half. It's a 46-33 South Dakota State lead. So what I mentioned, I guess I have the time now. So Matthew Moores, the forward, number 11. I don't know if you caught this, but I said he played 6 years of high school basketball. Did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so he went to Yankton High. His dad was the athletic director, and he's in 7th grade, and they're just killed with injuries. So they bring up the 7th grader, and he was a 3-time Gatorade Player of the Year in South Dakota, and he is just a high school legend at Yankton, and brought them their first state title in 50 years in 2018. And as an 8th grader, he was starting varsity for this Yankton team. So he was a 5-year starter and a 6-year varsity team member, which is just close to impossible nowadays. I mean, how deep some of these benches are for these high school teams. But yeah, Matt Moores played 6 years of high school ball.
And Moores, he was a 4-star powered forward by ESPN coming out of high school. And he was also the number 1 ranked prospect in South Dakota in 2021, and he was the 26th ranked signing at his position nationally that year as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, this guy had quite the high school experience, and he's earned himself a starting spot as he started every game since December 19th, and something with the floor here. Must have been some liquid of some sort. They're cleaning it off. It's one of the assistant coaches down there, I believe, and getting a round of applause from his fans that made the trip. South Dakota State, 2nd place in the Summit right now. It's almost dead on to be where they'll be seated at in Sioux Falls in 2 weeks, which is now 13 days away from the tournament. Here's J.J. White with 7 seconds to go. Frankie hands it off to Sutton. Sutton, 15-footer, no good. Rims around, and the heave from Zeke Mayo hits the backboard. And that is all she wrote for the first 20 minutes. 46-33, Jackrabbits. The Oats were here Thursday. Jacob, give me your first half thoughts. Omaha's there. Just was that really quick start. It was 12-2. And then since then, it's been 34-31. I mean, it's been really even since that point.
I think one of the biggest reasons why that South Dakota State has been able to jump out to this big lead is that they've been much more efficient on offense. They're shooting 57% from the field, and I think part of that is just good, clean, crisp passes in the half court. But then also for the big men, Dentlinger and also William Kyle III really just getting to their spots down to the post, using their physicality, and then just posting up on the defenders, and then just doing these quick little hook shots down in the paint, really just using their physicality. We had talked about in the first half, this is really usually a high up-tempo offense, but really they're just taking a different approach with that physicality, and it has served them well here in this first half of play.
So 46-33, SDSU up after the first 20. We'll send it back. Jack McGonigal and Jacob Timmy, and this is Omaha Maverick men's basketball on MavRadio.fm and the Maverick Digital Network.
"3,000 student athletes from 10 institutions, competing in 19 sports for national prominence, striving for excellence in academics and athletics, seeking to become champions. Nearly 100,000 students and more than 800,000 alumni celebrate Summit League student athletes and their rise to reach the summit. The Summit League, where tomorrow's leaders strive to reach the summit today."
You've always known you were a leader, someone who works hard to achieve your goals. You can see it. You can see your success in front of you. You pursue a college education for the old-fashioned reasons, to learn, to make yourself more valuable, To succeed, you need a place that celebrates your ambition and positions you alongside visionary people just like you. You, my friend, belong here, the University of Nebraska at Omaha.
For me, it's about understanding the process of communication and what we learn through that process.
So something that you'll find within the School of Communication graduate program is that there is such a rich field of expertise.
I can think of no other discipline where we spend so much time focusing on not just one side of the conversation, but all sides of the conversation.
Not only do you get to work closely with other graduate students that come from all different walks of life, but you get to learn from graduate faculty that take those perspectives and help you grow yourself in a way that teaches you to be an academic, but also lets you be you in a really unique way.
I chose UNO very specifically, not just because I live here, I'm proud to represent here, but because I thought their program offered strengths that I didn't see in other programs.
Welcome back to the Maverick Digital Network studio. I'm Austin Ulmer alongside our analyst, John Karhoff. Plenty more to come from Baxter. Let's take a look at the replays from that first half. It was a hot start for the Jackrabbits. Frankie Fiddler hitting the big corner three to get things going. Another corner three taken there. And the offense started up for the Mavericks. Still a bit of a deficit to come back from. Markel Sutton pulling up with the mid-range shot. And down low, huge dunk there from Kennedy Brown. Fight for the basketball on the floor. J.J. White making his presence known, trying to go for the rebound there, couldn't get it. And lots of dunks for the Mavericks in that first half, John. You see a couple of them there, saw a couple from Fiddler, and then Fiddler hitting that big corner three-pointer.
Yeah, Mavs obviously early deficit, turned the ball over, but then started getting a little bit of a rhythm there, especially the last 5 minutes of that half.
So now we'll take a look at the statistics. John, looking at the numbers, what stands out to you looking at these stats from the first half?
Well, obviously the field goals from South Dakota State stand out right there on the screen. I thought they did a great job. That first 10 minutes, South Dakota State really controlled that tempo, made the Mavs force some turnovers that gave the Jackrabbits some easy looks in the paint down low. So they were extremely efficient. Mavs are going to have to find a way to speed them up a little bit. The second half caused some more turnovers.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit. I can't remember the last time I saw the Mavs shoot 12 three-pointers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's credit to the Jackrabbits as well, especially early on. They were packing the paint. They were making it very difficult for the Mavs to attack and do a lot of drive and kicks, which forced a lot of standstill three-pointers. That's kind of what was left for the Mavs to shoot. So not necessarily what you want to see if you're the Mavericks, but again, if they can look for some ways maybe to speed them up, create some more turnovers of their own, go the other way, we might start to see that number increase on the percentages.
Yeah, so the Mavericks find themselves down 46-33. Well, basketball players have an affinity for sneakers, and for Luke Jungers, that's no different. Our own Pauline Dulang sat down with the freshman forward to talk about just that, shoes.
My name is Luke Jungers. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm a freshman here at UNO. I'm a small forward. A sneakerhead is probably just someone that has like an emotional attachment or like needs every pair of shoes, and I would consider myself one. These are the Jordan 4 Top Haze. This is one of the retro colorways. My favorite thing about them is they're not super common. The brown and like the metallic-y finish makes it hard to match with different things, but being able to pull these off with a good outfit, I feel like is really cool. When I was in 8th grade, I would start shoe shopping. First time I ever went to New York City, I went to Flight Club, and that was kind of like the start of it. It kind of opened my eyes into like the sneaker world. Got into Complex and seeing all these famous people, they're multi-millionaires and they're just buying shoes just as a hobby. It kind of just like sparked something in me.
What What a cool piece. John, how about you? Are you a sneakerhead? Do you have any favorite sneakers of yours lying around in your closet?
You know, not so much anymore. They're black and brown dress shoes now, but, you know, not as big of a sneakerhead as some of my teammates. You know, Omaha and Adidas school. Back in the day, the Crazy 8s from Adidas. I think Kobe Bryant's original shoe. That was kind of the one everybody wanted to get their hands on. And even when I played, that was retro for then. So I'm aging myself now, but Crazy 8s were something we were always, looking for on the catalog.
Yeah, you never know. Lots of basketball players, really love their shoes. So kind of different amongst all of them.
Absolutely.
So we will take a quick break. It's the Maverick Digital Network. Come on back.
The University of Nebraska at Omaha's bookstore is home to more than books. The UNO bookstore accommodates all students' needs with phone and laptop repairs at the iFix UNO station or free residence hall delivery. The bookstore, located in the Millvale Student Center, is full of Maverick merchandise. Find sweatshirts for chilly Nebraska days or cozy UNO mugs for every coffee fix. Shop anytime at unobookstore.com.
The media landscape is vastly different from the past. Conglomeration and consolidation have changed the skill sets required to succeed. Journalists must not only know how to conduct research, interview, and write stories, but they also have to know how to shoot and edit the stories they tell. Likewise, creative media professionals must know how to interview, research, and write the stories they shoot and edit. In the School of Communication, we require students to gain experience and proficiencies employers are seeking. The two hardest mediated genres to produce are live sports and newscasts. Thus, once our students are taught the basics, they are given opportunities to improve the abilities at these genres. Capstones 1 and 2 feature the culmination of skill sets. Once students produce the Omaha News, they can use it in their demo reel to show their skills. From here, students can go anywhere.
Welcome back. Austin Ulmer alongside John Karhoff. It's 46-33. Omaha finds themselves down by 13. It's also senior night at Baxter Arena, and Kyle Lutke was honored in pregame. Kyle talked about his experience as a senior leader on the team.
It's been different just being the old guy, but luckily when I first came in, I had a bunch of great older upperclassmen that taught me how to do the right thing every day. Guys I still stay in touch with to this day, like Mitch Hahn and Zach Jackson. They just taught me the right thing to do every day, and what it takes to win at this level. They were two all first team all conference guys, so just learning from them every day. I learned how to do it the right way, and now I'm just trying to lead in my own way with this team and just try and do the right thing every day, try to help the young guys any way I possibly can, just show them the ropes and guide them, to, make this program better.
Great to hear Lutke's thoughts about his time as a Maverick. And John, do you have any special memories from your senior year or your senior night when you were a Maverick?
Yeah, absolutely. Senior year for sure. I mean, we, 17 wins. Senior night was a rough one. We lost a close one in overtime. But real quick, Kyle Lutke, played for his dad at Creighton Prep. So Kyle was running around just a little, 5, 6 years old during practices. So crazy to see Kyle now senior year. He has a lot to be proud of for sure. So he's going to do great things. And I'm not shocked just knowing his dad how Kyle gave credit to the ones that came before him there. So that's good stuff. And Kyle's been a great Maverick.
Yeah, and what does a player like Kyle do for the leadership role on a team?
Yeah, and you know, like he said, he's the old guy on the team, and especially with a team like this that's so young and relies on so many young players to carry the load and play the most minutes, they have to look to a guy like that that's been around the block. Not just what he brings to the court, but how he handles himself on road trips, how he handles himself before practice, getting prepared in the weight room, things like that. Having somebody like that in your locker room is key when you have a young team like the Mavs do.
Yeah, and Kyle hasn't got as many minutes as of late, but still that leadership goes a long way. But let's talk a little bit more, breaking down that first half of action. What would you like to see from the Mavericks to try to climb back, get back in this game down 13?
Yeah, well, only thing you can do right now is just string together stops and obviously buckets on top of that. Saw Coach Crutchfield kind of move to that 1-2-2 full court towards the end of the half, looking for some, you know, easy steals where you can get a cheap bucket the other way. Those are the types of things the Mavs are going to have to do because South Dakota State was making a living in the paint. So if the Mavs can get out, cause some deflections, get the other way, get some easy buckets, hopefully they can start stringing along some good possessions there.
Yeah, and as we were watching that first half together, we both were talking about the ball movement of the Jackrabbits. Really good. What is it about this Jackrabbits team and their ball movement that causes such problems for opposing defenses?
Yeah, I mean, they know how to play well together. And, you know, obviously we talked a lot about Zeke Mayo. It all starts with him. Obviously defense, he commands a lot of attention from the defense. But with that, he's such a good passer as well, where he can find a guy really easily and they know what to do on the next pass, right? So, you know, they've done a really good job moving the ball. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if it gets a little hairy in the second half, if Zeke Mayo starts saying, it's my time, I'm going to start taking over. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and what do you think Coach Crutch was telling his team in the locker room at the half? What kind of adjustments do you think he's telling his team to make?
I think he's reminding them that the Mavericks, they spotted them 10 points, basically, the first 4 minutes of that game. And ever since then, it's been fairly even. They had some, you know, turnovers, gave some easy buckets the other way for South Dakota State. So I think Coach Crutchfield's reminding his guys that, hey, we gave them 10 points, but since then it's been even. So kind of that confidence boost coming out of halftime, knowing that they can play with these guys, I think that's ultimately going to be his message at halftime.
Yeah, and real quick, how about the game from Dylan Brom, having the game of his life out there tonight, doing it with the points but also on the boards. Do you expect to see that from him in this second half?
Dylan's a guy that he knows his role, right? He's out there to block shots, get rebounds, and finish around the hoop, right? So he's really bringing that tonight. And I think, you know, he has experience coming off the bench. He's brought them so much from the bench. Tonight he finds himself in that starting role. Having a player like that's key. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dylan, you know, have his fingerprints over the second half as well.
Yeah, lots of players on this team kind of know their role, able to come off the bench. We've seen them in the starting lineup, players like Jungers, so lots of versatility among the team.
Yep, 100%. And Mavs bench, I think they're, you know, top 60 in the NCAA in bench scoring, so a lot of guys that they can rely on.
Yeah, so it's just about time for the second half. We'll have post-game analysis for you at the conclusion of this game. But until then, let's send it back to Baxter Arena with Jack McGonigal and Jacob Timian.
Big Omaha home crowd, arguably the biggest one of the season. And South Dakota State, they've shot over 50% from the field in the last 5 regular season contests versus Omaha. And, I mean, speak about the shooting a little bit, Jacob. They just, you know, they're making smart choices and they're shooting, you know, high probable shots.
Well, I think part of that is also just really establishing your dominance down low in the post. Just a lot of the big men that South Dakota State has on the offensive end with William Kyle III and Matt Detlinger just getting low in the post, getting to their spots and getting good high percentage looks at the basket. And also, this team is really good at passing the ball in the half court that have also set up more of those good looks at the basket.
So Zeke Mayo and Matt Detlinger have 12 apiece for South Dakota State out of the locker room. Here's Mayo, left block, contested, gets his own rebound between everybody. And now here's William Kyle III right on the paint, and he puts it in for that hook shot that's been dangerous. 48-33, Jackrabbits up 15.
Zeke Mayo with a pass there between the legs of Sean Glover there, setting up that look there at the basket there for William Kyle III.
Fiddler, Glover, Sutton gets that stripped, and he loses control. 6th turnover of the night for Omaha. And Mayo 1 of the 3 instead unselfishly dumps it off to Mims. And Mims kind of went up with it and came back down with it, being defended by Frankie Fiddler. And now in double trouble with Zeke Mayo. He gets to Mims and to Kyle down on the block. Now in the paint, double teamed by Brom, and Sutton gets out of it but misses the shot. Here comes J.J. White with the basketball in transition on the wing. Driving, scoring, left-handed layup. 48-35. Both teams have exchanged baskets here in the first minute 15 of the second half. William Kyle III to number 1, Matt Mims. Now back around. And here's Zeke Mayo. Mayo driving, and he draws the blocking foul. They call the charge. It was a late charge call. And the collapse of the Omaha fans. That was kind of a late charge call.
Yeah, I was going to say just a little bit late, but Omaha will take it.
Thought for sure they were going to call a blocking foul, but they do call the charge in favor of Omaha. That's Mayo's first foul of the game, and the team's first. And Omaha takes over down 13. It was 46-33 at half, just 2 points apiece, 48-35 now. And here's Frankie, J.J. White, and knocked away by Matt Moores, number 11. Omaha ball underneath. So White walks over to the official to inbound on the black floor there, and J.J. White to Frankie Fiddler. Fiddler driving towards the center of the lane, and he travels. And it goes back to South Dakota State, and Chris Crutchfield didn't exactly see how he traveled. A little upset with the officiating there, and it goes back to South Dakota State. So after the Jackrabbit turnover, Omaha gives it right back. 13-point game, and now a lane on the left side, and a nice reverse layup for Matt Mims. He scores 50-35, South Dakota State. J.J. White now off to Brom. Brom, impressive first half with 9. Here's J.J. White swinging it. Now it's Frankie, left side, 3 no good. Dentlinger with the rebound, gives it up to Mims. Back cross court, Mayo, nice pump fake, fakes out Fiddler, but instead has to go to Dentlinger. Now Dentlinger bodying up Brom right side, and he is fouled. So that's on Dylan Brom, I believe. That is his second and the team's first. So inbound, here comes Jungers back into the game. First time he checks in here in the second half. Mayo to inbound. Or we're going to have one of the jump ball here. Kind of looked like it. It's an inbound. I was like, wait a minute, what? And now Dentlinger. And now back out. Here's number 2, Zeke Mayo. And Mayo stop pop 3. He gets it to go. He's up to 15 on the game. And a long three-pointer, 53-35. South Dakota State out to that 18-point lead.
See, there's Zeke Mayo. He just needed just a little bit of separation. Got a good look for a 3.
Speaking of three-pointer there, Jacob, Luke Jungers hits his first 3 of the night on the left side. Exchanging triples, 53-37. And now another 3. Raining threes here at Baxter. Matthew Moore's turn to hit the triple. That's on the left side, 56-37. 19-point advantage for the Jackrabbits, 16:40 to go. Here's Jay Sean to Jungers. He wants another. He misses this time. And Zeke Mayo pushing the ball up the floor. It was a bit of a slower tempo in the first half, but it's a slam dunk for Kyle off the alley-oop pass from Zeke Mayo. And that gets the Jackrabbit fans standing up. They're up 21 now, and a timeout taken by Omaha. But we saw a slower tempo in the first half, Jacob, and now South Dakota State's ramped it up.
Well, and I think that good look there by William Kyle III, that was just a good look there in getting back in transition moving the ball quickly down in the offensive end of the floor for South Dakota State. But again, now it's kind of, as you said, Jack, just a different style of play here in this second half to start. Using their physicality in the first half, getting into those half-court sets, but now pushing the ball in transition here in the second half, and really boding well for South Dakota State so far here in the second half of play.
So, and it's just kind of what we talked about. I guess we haven't talked about it, but I mean, you match up with some teams better than others, and I think just the way South Dakota State is built isn't the most ideal matchup for Omaha. You kind of have two big guys that can kind of do what they will, and you can even throw three in there with Broden Lean's done some action tonight too, but William Kyle, a freshman, 6'9", he's made himself all over the floor. He is going to be a promising star for the future for South Dakota State, Jacob.
Yeah, and I think that just the thing for Omaha, we talked about that size that South Dakota State has. Really, I think that you just compensate for that size with just quickly moving the ball out on the perimeter and just getting into your half-court sets quicker and just getting good open looks from beyond the three-point line. So we'll have to see what adjustments Omaha will make here out of the timeout.
So 58-37, SDSU's up 21, 16-18 to go first half here on senior night. And what's left for Omaha? Denver on the road in the Rocky Mountains. And then it is to Sioux Falls for the Summit League Conference Tournament. And you think Omaha, after this, is going to play one game in 13 days. So that's an interesting note too, Jacob.
Yeah, and I think it does give the team, though, I think a good chance to kind of rest up a little bit after your body has kind of been taking a beating here so far during the regular season. Just a good chance to get healed up and recover and get ready for the Summit League tournament in a couple weeks.
Here's Glover to Jungers. Yes, sir. And Luke drew the foul as well. He fell to the floor as he shot it. And Luke Jungers hits the three. He'll head to the free throw line.
And the chance of Luke rang down from the Baxter Arena crowd.
So Jungers on the year, an 81.4% free throw shooter. It's 58-40, and the foul was on Dentlinger, his first, the team's second. Jungers at the line. He rims in and out, and Mayo gets the rebound. And Mayo jogs up the floor at a medium pace. And now to Dentlinger, to Zeke Mayo, to Kyle. Hands it off to Mims. Now Dentlinger, back to Kyle. And Kyle splits the defenders, has room to run, misses the layup. Jungers on the rebound. After hitting the triple but missing the free throw, here's Luke. Swinging it, Fiddler, J.J. White left side, being defended by Mims, back to Frankie. Frankie scanning the floor here. Screen made, Jungers, little pick and roll. He gets it to Dylan Brom instead on the left. Now back to Jay Sean. 8 to shoot, 15-20 to play. Here's Glover. Cross court past JJ. Back to Frankie. He's got room in the paint, and he puts it in with his strength. And just one on the shot clock. Omaha within 16, 15 minutes to play. 58-42, South Dakota State handing it off. Now back, Dentlinger. Now goes to Charlie. Easley had 9. Beautiful pass down low. Dentlinger blocked by Brom. That's number 3. And, man, he thought that was all ball. But the official saw something else. So, with that being said, we'll step aside. 14:55 to go here in the game. 58-42, South Dakota State on top. Jack McGonigal, Jacob Timian. This is Omaha Maverick men's basketball on MavRadio.fm and the Maverick Digital Network.
I never thought I'd be standing in the clouds looking down on the ancient ruins of the Incan Empire. I never thought I'd live among the street artists in Valparaiso. I never thought I'd make friends that would last a lifetime.
Adventure's out there, and as Mavericks, it's up to us to find it.
Stop thinking, start doing. Visit educationabroad.unomaha.edu.
It is the longest-running Omaha-based statewide television program on the air today. Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Wyatt, producer and host of Consider This. Now in our 25th season, we wish to acknowledge those who have made this educational journey possible. Our guests, underwriters, student crews, the Knowledge Network, the University of Nebraska at Omaha, and of course, viewers just like you. Thank you for watching.
South Dakota State is ahead by 16 on Omaha, but you know, Jacob, despite being down 16 points, there's still life, there's still energy inside Omaha and this crowd.
Yeah, I think that really just that really a newfound sense of energy by Omaha really here in this second half. And really, I think that they have the belief that, hey, still about 15 minutes to go here in regulation. Only down by 16. If we put a couple of good runs together, we can get right back into this game.
So after the foul from Braum, free throws here, Dentlinger makes the first. And Matt Dentlinger up to 13 points and 2 for 2 from the line as he makes free throws number 58 and 59 on the season. So it's an 18-point Jackrabbit lead. They lead 60-42 on SDSU. Here's Luke Jungers. Jungers takes the mid-range jumper from the left side. Shot no good. Rebounded by Zeke Mayo. Crosses half court. Swift tempo stop. Pop. Top of the key. Yep. And that's what makes Mayo so dangerous. He'll pull up from anywhere, Jacob.
Well, I think the thing for Omaha defensively is you've got to get up on Mayo on the half-court line because, as we just saw there, he can just pull up from near half-court and drain a three-pointer.
63-42, South Dakota State's back out to that 21-point lead. And now White going to Kennedy. He loses control, but it is last touched by South Dakota State, so it's an inbounds pass underneath for Omaha. And inbounding will be J.J. White, number 1. Stands on that C of the Mavericks written out on the baseline, and we'll do it again as that ball was knocked away by Charlie Easley on the pressure, trying to find Frankie Fiddler. And substitution William Kyle out. And in comes Matthew Moores, the 6'7 redshirt freshman. And J.J. to Luke. Now Frankie, top of the key, hands it off. J.J. White. And J.J. White now stops, hits the right-handed or right side three-pointer, 63-45 in Omaha. A team that doesn't shoot many threes on normally is 6 for 16 tonight from beyond the arc. And now Dentlinger down low. There's that power and that size advantage as he gets past number 4, Kennedy Brown, 65-45, jacks up 20. And Fiddler loses control as it was knocked away by Dentlinger, number 32, and another inbound coming for Omaha. One more time, we'll see J.J. White on the inbound. Standing to the right from our view of the official. Passes it to Jungers. Jungers, quick release. Got it again. Falls to the floor. No call this time, but nonetheless, he hits the three. 65-48 in Omaha. Shooting now 7 of 17 from three. That's a 41.2 percentile. And now to Mims. Down low, looking Dentlinger, being defended by Brown, who just scored on Kennedy Brown. And now Dentlinger wants it one more time. He does contest it. They call the foul on Brown, and J.J. White's really not happy as he pins that basketball onto the ground in frustration. Free throws coming for Dentlinger, who just about a minute and a half ago went 2 for 2 from the line. Jacob, what'd you see there?
I think, again, it's just the power and size advantage that we had talked about that SDSU has had throughout this game really has kind of just been taking its toll on Omaha defensively, and I think that's why we've seen such frustration from Omaha defensively, because it's just been tough to stop this size advantage that South Dakota State has had, particularly down low here in this entire game.
So 13, 67-48, and it's a 19-point game right now, but it doesn't seem like a 19-point game, as that one would have been a cruise to the rim to Moores, but they call a foul on that side of the ball, or on that side of the floor. So it stays right here with Omaha after a foul bails them out. That's on Moores. That's number 3. So he has 3. So does Brom on Omaha's side, and both teams are at 3 fouls each as a team here in the second half. Jungers to J.J. White. Doesn't take the left-sided three-pointer. White wants to drive instead on the right side. High off the glass, no good. Brown on the rebound. Foul called. That might be 2 on Mayo.
They're going to say that it was on the floor.
Yes, it was on the floor. Kennedy Brown went up for the rebound and tried to put it back, but fouled on the floor. And, yeah, that's on Mayo. And that's the team's 4th. And that is number 2 on number 2, Zeke Mayo. And the Omaha fans a little unsettled about that call being a foul on the floor. So now J.J. White on the inbound. Finds Fiddler open, left side, now driving, left side, and a nasty block by Dentlinger, but lands in the hands of Luke Jungers. Jungers with another opportunity for the Mavericks. J.J. White now directing traffic, 8 to shoot, 12:40 to go in the game. White, step back, left side, 3, no good. Brown nearly had a rebound, but couldn't corral it in, and Dentlinger grabs it instead, hands it off to Mayo, and seeing that tempo we saw in the first half of walking it up the floor. Took about 8-9 seconds to get past the half-court line. Here's Zeke Mayo finding an open Mims. 3-ball, right side, yes, sir. And there's that three-point shooting from SDSU. They have now shot 16 threes, and they've made 8, right at 50%. 70-48, a 22-point lead for SD, largest of the game. And now down low, Jaden Marshall trying to outpower Zeke Mayo. He did, but he rims out the lay-in, and Mayo corralled the rebound as he now jogs past half court. Marshall picks him up. Quick passing. Here's Easley. Wants 9 of 17. He does from 3. The Jackrabbits now shooting over 50 from beyond the arc. 73-48, a 25-point Jackrabbit lead. And you could say Omaha's down the rabbit hole, Jacob.
I see what you did there.
And a lay-in there for Omaha. 73-50. And I'll say no pun intended. No intention at all.
Well, I think that just the thing is that was a good contest there on the last defensive possession there by Omaha, but it's just good, high-quality offense from South Dakota State, and we have seen it all game here from the Jackrabbits.
73-50, South Dakota State's up 23. Mayo now finds Dentlinger and makes that turn to the rim, but gets his own rebound. He's fouled on his second effort, and that should be on Kennedy Brown. And that will take us to our under 12 media timeout. So 11:03 to go in the game. And South Dakota State's ahead 73-50. Jack McGonigal, Jacob Timian. This is Omaha Maverick basketball here on MavRadio.fm and the Maverick Digital Network.
I'm a veteran, wear my battle scars like a letterman's. I done crawled through the mud, both streets, so I wouldn't underestimate me.
10:57 to go in the game. Here's Dylan Brom at the wing, gives it to Frankie Fiddler, top of the key, off to Tony Osborne. Stop, pop in the paint, 10-footer no good. An extra chance again, Sutton, and he's finally fouled after a few different opportunities to score. And Markell is going to the line. Kudos there to Sutton for keeping at it and earning himself a trip to the line. And that is on Tanner Tuslaw, his second, the team's fifth. And Sutton misses the free throw here, so one more opportunity for Markell. He's got 5 points on the game. And for Sutton, shooting 62.3% from the line. He goes 0 for 2 there. And it is out of bounds, last touched in favor of South Dakota State. So they'll take over 75-50. And the Jackrabbits have been really in control since the beginning of this game. 25-point Jackrabbit advantage. Bounce pass to Moores. Now back out to Mayo. Mayo. Now expect some melting of the shot clock here from South Dakota State as we progress on. And they have a favorable lead. Mayo finding Kyle. Blocked by Brom. Into the hands of Markell Sutton. Down the floor to Tony Osborne. Driving right side is in. Good move there from Tony Osborne, the Mound City graduate, the true freshman. Halfway through the second half, a 23-point lead in long three. Mayo shot no good. And a foul called as leaping for the board was Matt Moores. And that is the 15th foul on Omaha. That's number 4 on Brom, and they're going to keep Dylan in the game despite just picking up his 4th foul there. He had 4 on Thursday in that win versus the Yotes as well. And just a quick passing here from South Dakota State. William Kyle III makes a post move on Brom, and Osborne gets the rebound. Just had that layup on the Omaha side of the floor. Here's Fiddler, had to climb the elevator to get to that pass, and Fiddler, 15-footer no good. Kyle III gets the rebound, and now Dylan Brom is limping heavily on that left ankle, kind of the same thing we saw with Frankie in the first half, but Dylan seems to be a little more shaken up, so immediately Kennedy Brown checks in, and that's kind of the same sort of thing we saw with Frankie in the first half, isn't it, Jacob?
Yeah, and Brom's slamming his hand down on the hardwood in frustration. Hope he's okay. It looks like he's going to walk back to the locker room, walking with a little bit of a limp. Luckily, with Fiddler, with the injury in the first half, he was able to jog off, but now with Brom, it looks like he is hobbling off.
So 75-52, Jackson front after the Tuslaw turnover there. Here's J.J. White crossing half court. Nice crossover to get away from Matt Mims. Here's White handing it off. Frankie on the wing, driving, and shot no good. There's Kennedy Brown. Second chance points. Yes, sir. Kennedy puts it in. 75-54, South Dakota State. South Dakota State, they put up 95 in this building last year, and well, I don't know if they'll get there, but they should surpass 80 without a problem. And here's Moores, shot no good, gets his own rebound and puts it in. He gets himself some second chance points there. And back up 23 is SDSU. Quicker tempo now from Omaha. Nice backdoor cut. Fiddler, charge call. And he ran right into Kyle III, and the high school teammates collide in the paint with 8:36 to go. And so Fiddler did win a state championship his sophomore year. And then senior year, fell to Millard North. Or it was actually his junior year he lost, and he won. No, there's Millard North, Bellevue West. They've met the last 3 years. So now, here's Dentlinger, and oh, look at that snazzy pass, and a dunk to Kyle III, and Kennedy Brown really didn't like that. He's kind of landed on him. And Kennedy Brown really didn't like that as he got on top and kind of kicked Brown there.
Oh, yeah, right after that alley-oop, it looked like his foot went right into the midsection there of Kennedy Brown. And as you said, Jack, didn't really like that gesture very much.
So now 79-54, although the South Dakota State fans loved it. And there's Tony Osborne, J.J. White back out to Osborne, driving baseline. Kennedy Brown. Brown, fade away. That's good. Spins around and makes the 15-footer and backs himself on defense. 79-56. Next stoppage will be our under 8 media timeout. And now here's Dentlinger, high off the glass shot, no good. Kennedy with the board, gives it to J.J. White, gets past William Kyle III and freezes, and then now driving all the way to the rim, and a blocking foul called. And that sends us to our under 8 media timeout. 7:39 to go in the game. 79-56. South Dakota State up big. Jack McGonigal, Jacob Timian. This is Omaha Maverick men's basketball, both on MavRadio.fm and the Maverick Digital Network.
The University of Nebraska at Omaha's bookstore is home to more than books. The UNO bookstore accommodates all students' needs with phone and laptop repairs at the iFix UNO station or free residence hall delivery. The bookstore, located in the Milevale Student Center, is full of Maverick merchandise. Find sweatshirts for chilly Nebraska days or cozy UNO mugs for every coffee fix. Shop anytime at unobookstore.com.
And it has been all Jackrabbits here in this one, but Jacob kind of going back to our points. Omaha just hasn't looked like the sharper team tonight. South Dakota State has brought kind of that extra oomph to their game tonight.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of it has just been really being efficient on the offensive end of the ball for South Dakota State, shooting 57% for the game. And really just the point that we've been really driving home is just their physicality that they have used down in the paint has really served them well. And we even saw earlier in the half J.J. White just kind of having an expression of frustration on his face just because of the challenges that Omaha has had to try to overcome with this size advantage from South Dakota State.
So after the blocking foul, J.J. knocks down a pair of free throws, so both him and Fiddler up to 11 points in this game. And now Mayo running all the way down the floor. Dentlinger laying no good, and the rebound is Sutton, and he gets it to J.J. And J.J. back out. Lukey just too wide to the left for him, and he throws it into the courtside fans and goes back to South Dakota State. Here comes Frankie back into the game. He replaces J.J. White. And Eric Henderson there, and all the South Dakota State and the South Dakota State quarter zips, and Chris Crutchfield with the suit tonight on senior night. Usually a suit guy, blazer and a collared t-shirt. Now here's Mayo. And Mayo driving, left side, room to run, and blocked by Frankie Fiddler, last touched by Fiddler, so it stays on this end of the floor with South Dakota State. And an inbound for number 2, Zeke Mayo. And Mayo gets it here to Dentlinger, being defended by Brown, back to the basket. Looking to make a post move, hook shot, he finds his groove, he puts it in, 81-58. Here's Osborne flying down the floor past half court, being defended by Mims. Now Osborne hands it off to Frankie, being defended by Matt Dentlinger, that's Charlie Easley. And now Kennedy Brown, Fiddler, and Dentlinger just a little too close to him. He fouls Frankie Fiddler near half court. That's number 7 in the half for South Dakota State and number 2 on Dentlinger. So it's single bonus time for Omaha. And if you're an opposing team, this is not a guy you want to put at the line. It is on the year. Frankie shooting 88.3%. That ranks very high in the national rankings. Now it's a 1-and-1, so if he misses, it's a live ball. If he makes it, he's earned himself a second free throw. And the shot is good, so we'll be at the line for one more. And this is point number 60 coming for Omaha with 6:37 in the game to go. One more opportunity for Fiddler. He's got it. So 81-60. Omaha up 21. Now the full court pressure put on by the Mavericks defense, but South Dakota State breaks that with ease. Mayo, one-handed pass off the left hand to William Kyle III. And now Mayo back to Kyle, and Kyle's blocked, and Frankie's unhappy with the call and some boos from the Baxter Arena fans. So Kyle's heading to the free throw line, and he's a 65.3% free throw shooter. And on the night, William Kyle misses that one, has himself 10 points on the game. It's been 22 for Dentlinger, 18 for Mayo. Substitution, Jay-Sean Glover's in, Marshall's in, Lutke's out, Osborne's out. But for Dentlinger, now Kyle hits that one, and a season high 25 last year at Baxter. He's got 26 as his career high this year, so Dentlinger now 2 20-plus point games inside Baxter Arena, 82-60, South Dakota State up. And nearing about 6 minutes remaining in regulation. That's Sutton, and he's blocked. Just stuffed there by the South Dakota State defense, and an inbound coming for Omaha under their own rim. Frankie on the inbound. So here's Sutton one more time, hands it off. Fiddler on the right wing, being defended by Easley. He makes a nice move, and off the glass and in for Fiddler, and now he leads Omaha with 13 here in this game. Zeke Mayo crosses half court. Gets it to William Kyle III. Hands it off. That's Mims. Dentlinger. Now Easley. Now Kyle. 10 to shoot for the Jackrabbits. Mims, pump fake left side. Gets it to Kyle, who is covered up. And another foul called in the paint. And William Kyle III is the victim.
That foul was on Frankie Fiddler. That's his third.
Yeah, that's 3 on Fiddler. Braum has 4. 2 starters there, and a little bit of foul trouble, but may not really matter in the end. The way this game's been trending, Kyle III back to the line after going 1 for 2. Make it 1 for 3, and Sutton gets the rebound. Crosses half court, left side of the floor. Now back to JJ, hands it to Frankie. Frankie near half court, center of the floor. Goes to Jay-Sean Glover. Now trying to find Marshall at the free throw line, taken away by the Jackrabbits. Here's Zeke Mayo wanting to approach the rim. Instead, fade away, in and out, no good. And Jay-Sean Glover with the rebound. Pushes it the tempo up the floor. And Marshall misses second chance. No good. Still in Omaha's possession. That's Sutton with the rebound. Cross-court three-point line. Marshall right side. No good. And Kyle the third gets the rebound after a little handsy with Markel Sutton. And there the Jacks slowing things down with 4:40 to go. Up 20. 82-62, South Dakota State in front, looking for conference win number 12 and overall win number 17. Here's Mayo, top of the key, 6 to shoot, crosses over on Glover, off the glass rim, no good. Kennedy Brown with the rebound. He gets it to Frankie. Frankie's across half court. And Fiddler wanting to go out. He finds Jaden Marshall in the left corner, 3 no good. Kyle the third with the rebound and just hands it off to Zeke Mayo. And for William Kyle the third, up to 11 rebounds and 11 points, so he has himself a double-double on the night. True freshman in his hometown, stepping up big today for the Jackrabbits. Now here's Charlie Easley nearly crossed Fiddler, gets around him, makes a tough contested shot with good defense from Fiddler and puts it in. It's been that kind of night for South Dakota State. They lead 84-62, 3.5 to go.
Yeah, it's just another case of great offense beats good defense.
22-point lead again for SDSU. Here's Jay Sean, Markel Sutton, back to Jaden Marshall, Kennedy Brown, top of the key. Here's Frankie. Frankie takes the three. It's good. Frankie has himself 16. That's 18, actually. So, and now under 3, it's 84-65. Here's Easley, Dentlinger. Mims finding a wide open Dentlinger. And a foul called on the dunk. And they're going to get Jay-Sean Glover for that, but the free throw will be shot after our under 4 immediate timeout, 2:48 to go. And South Dakota State up big. Jack McGonigal, Jacob Timian. You're tuned in to Omaha Maverick men's basketball on mavradio.fm and the Maverick Digital Network.
The media landscape is vastly different from the past. Conglomeration and consolidation have changed the skill sets required to succeed. Journalists must not only know how to conduct research, interview, and write stories, but they also have to know how to shoot and edit the stories they tell. Likewise, creative media professionals must know how to interview, research, and write the stories they shoot and edit. In the School of Communication, we require students to gain experience and proficiencies employers are seeking. The 2 hardest mediated genres to produce are live sports and newscasts. Thus, once our students are taught the basics, they are given opportunities to improve the abilities at these genres. Capstones 1 and 2 feature the culmination of skill sets. Once students produce the Omaha News, they can use it in their demo reel to show their skills. From here, students can go anywhere.
Would have liked, and we'll get you those scores from around the Summit League. St. Thomas up 10 on Western Illinois, 70-60. And Oral Roberts is going to win against North Dakota State, assuming, well, they're up 6 with about 40 seconds to go. It's 65-59. 65 is a low ball number for ORU. North Dakota's up 59-52 on the road at Kansas City with 9.5 to play. And then Denver taking care of business on their home floor, 86-68 on South Dakota. So that is your score updates around the Summit League. Jacob, just hasn't been Omaha's night tonight.
No, it really hasn't. But again, kind of a point that I've reiterated, it's just been great offense by the South Dakota State team beating good defense here from Omaha. But just been looking at these field goal numbers so far. South Dakota State 57% from the field, although it has been close here in the second half in terms of point scoring. It's 39-32, make it 40-32. Really where South Dakota State has been able to separate themselves is what they did in the first half. They outscored Omaha 46-33.
Detlinger now at those free throws at 24. And speaking of Detlinger, he fouls Frankie Fiddler as Fiddler was driving on the right side of the floor to the basket. So Fiddler's back to the line, as that's the 8th team foul against SDSU in the half. That's 3 on Detlinger, and Fiddler now heading to the line. Fiddler, 19 points. He had 13 in Brookings earlier this year. And in 4 games, he's averaging 17 and a half against the Jackrabbits. So that number will boost up a bit with his potentially 20-point performance here tonight, if he can knock down this free throw. And he does. So speaking of seniors, here's Mr. Grant Frickenstein into the game, the Archbishop Bergen graduate. He took his team to a state title his senior year, and Kyle's back into the game. We've seen him. And the 2 of the 3 guys being honored before the game, Frickenstein, Lutke, and Akol Arope, the Nebraska transfer. And Detlinger, he has matched his career high, 26. He had 25 in this building last year, so 51 in 2 games at Baxter in his career. And now that's going back to SDSU, and we'll see Jungers in.
Frickenstein stepped out of bounds.
Yep, it was an out-of-bounds call against Grant Frickenstein. And a little bit about Grant. He's the senior and averaging 0.8 of a point, getting 2 for 4 from field goals and a couple steals. 13 games off the bench last year. 2 minutes to go. 88-67 Omaha on 88-67 SDSU on Omaha. And now here's Mims, and he's driving, and now at the wing, giving it off here to number 33. And that's Broden Lean. He gets that one to go. And the 90-point range for SDSU after putting up 95 in this building a year ago. And that was the Baylor Shireman and Douglas Wilson era. Here's Luke Jungers, misses the 3. And Mims gets the rebound with about a minute and a half. Also into the game for SDSU is Aaron Fegan, the 6'7 junior from Madison, South Dakota. Here's Mims kicking it out. 10 to shoot, and his bench kind of wanted Lean to shoot that 3. He doesn't take it. And now 5 to shoot. Here's Lean, 15-footer. Right side, no good. Kick back out to Mims, who does not take the 3, even though he had the opportunity. It's kind of a courtesy thing when you're up 23 with under a minute to go now in regulation. So South Dakota State will improve to 17-11. Backdoor cut. And Moores is fouled as he approached the basket. That's on Jungers. So South Dakota State's inside the double bonus now. That's the 10th team foul against Omaha. Number 2 on Jungers. 90-67. South Dakota State up 23. And here's Matthew Moores from Yankton. Misses the first. So for SDSU, 26 from Detlinger, 18 from Mayo, 11 from Kyle, and 14 from Measley. 4 guys in double figures. Make it 5 guys in double figures as Moores has 10 on the game now, and that is just impressive, Jacob. Able to have 5 guys in double figures.
Well, again, I think that just goes to the efficiency that South Dakota State has had on offense pretty much this entire game.
Oh, man, there's Jayshawn Glover bringing in a three. And the 70-point mark Omaha's gotten to 91-70, and that very well could be the last shot of the game, as the game clock is just about a half second under the shot clock. And it appears that Tanner Tuslaw will just send it to the final. 91-70, South Dakota State takes care of Omaha here on senior night. The Jacks improved to 17-11, 12-4 in conference play. Omaha at 8-21 and 4-13. I guess there was 0.2 of a second left, so we'll just get a quick check in here from Grant Frickenstein. On a good thing here from head coach Chris Crutchfield. Fiddler checks in. Beard checks in. So the guys kind of at the end of the bench are now into the game for the last 0.2 of a second of this one. Frickenstein's out. J.J. White's in. And hugs from the Omaha bench to the seniors. And Xander Beard from half court. Oh, a little too strong. 91-70. South Dakota State gets the win. Omaha drops to 4-13. And Jacob, just too much power from the Jackrabbits tonight for Omaha to handle.
I think you said it perfectly. Just too much power and too much size from the South Dakota State team. Really, they had just been dominating all night, really down in the paint, really just getting to their spots down to the post and then getting good high percentage looks at the rim. Well, didn't you say that earlier that South Dakota State last year that they got to 95 points last year? They got to 91 tonight, but again, shooting 54% from the field did South Dakota State this entire game, and also they were 50% from the three-point line tonight as well, going 9 for 18. So this is definitely going to be a team to be reckoned with come the Summit League tournament in a couple weeks in Sioux Falls. But for Omaha, just get rested up and be ready to go for next weekend's regular season finale against the Denver Pioneers.
So that does it from our coverage here tonight. 91-70, South Dakota State defeats Omaha by 21. 5 guys in double figures, and Matt Dentlinger, he gets tied his career high at 26 tonight. That being said, we'd like to thank anybody who tuned in either on the Maverick Digital Network or MavRadio.fm. Big shout out to Jerome Bradford back in the studio. Thanks for helping out, buddy, and spending your Saturday night making sure this broadcast goes live. For myself, Jack McGonigal, and Jacob Timian, we'd like to wish everybody a good night.
$3,000 student athletes from 10 institutions, competing in 19 sports for national prominence, striving for excellence in academics and athletics, seeking to become champions. Nearly 100,000 students and more than 800,000 alumni celebrate Summit League student athletes and their rise to reach the summit. The Summit League, where tomorrow's leaders strive to reach the summit today.
There's a unique educational experience right here in Omaha. With access to top-rated programs, in-demand degrees, and a worldwide community of graduates, UNO prepares students for life, wherever it may lead. From Omaha to Italy to Uganda to Japan, Mavericks are working in communities around the globe. So where will a degree from UNO take you? UNO, access to exceptional, access to the world. Learn more at unomaha.edu.
Welcome back to the Maverick Digital Network studios for the post-game show. Reporter Brian Tesmer is standing by with head coach Chris Crutchfield. Hi, Brian.
Thanks, guys. Coach, you guys had a tough loss tonight to a really good South Dakota State team. What was the biggest difference in this one for you?
They're a very skilled team. They got shooters, and they got 2 big guys in the interior that, they're going to throw it inside and get 2 points, or they're going to throw it outside and get 3 points. We just couldn't match up with them tonight.
Now, flipping the script and looking ahead, you guys have one more game on the regular season on the road against Denver. How important is it for you guys to go down there and set the tone for the Summit League tournament?
Well, I think anytime you go into conference play, you want to try to have some momentum, so we got to go to Denver and try to get a win.
Now, obviously an emotional night like tonight. You guys have the senior night. Can you describe a little bit about the emotion and what goes into a game like this?
Well, those three guys are the foundation of our program, what we're trying to build here at New, and they've been part of the program over the last 3 or 4 years with Brandon and Kyle. So obviously it's emotional because this is their last time to play on this floor, and you want to try to give them a win, but we couldn't do that tonight.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Let's take a look at the replays. John, what was the true difference maker in this game this evening?
Yeah, well, Coach Crutchfield alluded to it. Just a balanced attack from South Dakota State. 5 guys in double figures. That's tough to defend against. I really think South Dakota State, they really put their stamp on this thing the first 4 minutes out of halftime, where they didn't mess around. They extended that lead, and it was just too much for the Mavs to come back from.
Yeah, here you see J.J. White putting in the key three-pointers. We saw the Mavs hit some more three-pointers than we're accustomed to from this Mavericks team, and you alluded to it at halftime, about how they were kind of clogging up the paint, causing him to shoot a lot of three-pointers.
Yeah, and then it seemed like even when the Mavs were hitting shots, it was South Dakota State making another play on the other end, just responding tonight. It seemed like every jab the Mavs gave them, the Jackrabbits had another one and then some to respond with.
Yeah, and there you see Fiddler. Fiddler played a great game, had those 18 points in the game. And J.J. White rounding out the replays with the three-pointers. So let's take a look at the numbers. And John, looking at these numbers, 9 for 18 from three-point land for the Jackrabbits. That tells you something right there, 50% from three-point land.
Right, 50% for three-point land, over 50% just overall from the field. Like Coach Crutchfield said, pick your poison. Do you want them to knock one down from 3, or do you want to have them throw it inside to 2 big men and lay it up off the glass, right? So again, just kind of a business-like approach from the Jackrabbits. Kind of took advantage of a young Mavs team tonight.
Yeah, and Omaha did well on the boards, out-rebounded just by 4, but those three-pointers seem to be the difference. So, once again, 91-70, the Mavericks fall. We'll be back in the studio next Saturday, the 25th, for coverage of Maverick hockey. For John Karhoff and our entire MDN crew, I'm Austin Ulmer. Have a good night, everybody.
Coming up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Faded grass to a floor.